The Aegean Odyssey arrives in Casablanca with the sunrise. Today, the excursion will include a drive inland to Fez and a visit to that ancient city. The morning traffic in Casablanca is not very much different than in our cities. The drive to Fez will take about 4 hours, including a stop at a service center. We will have an overnight in Fez and the next day drive back to Casablanca via Rabat. The houses in Morocco are usually painted white, some with one or more red walls, the color of the Berbers. Berbers are agricultural people, a major economic engine in Morocco. The road signs appear to be mostly in Arabic and French, but some are in Arabic and Berber. A beautiful bridge has recently been built by the king over a large and deep valley. It cuts the driving time to Fez by about 1 hour. After about 2 hours, we make a stop at a well-appointed service center, which appears to be a club for recreation and shooting as well. Some people do drive sleek cars. We arrive in Fez, known as the cultural capital of Morocco. Our first stop is the Marriott Hotel, where we will have a group lunch. We will then proceed to the Royal Palace and the Medina. We will return to the Marriott for dinner and to spend the night. The Palais Royal is a very impressive building with a wonderful facade, colorful mosaic and beautiful brass doors. We are driving to the Fez Medina, the old town, where we will explore for about 3 hours and stop at 7 points of interest. The Medina is the old part of a North African city, typically non-European in origin. Medinas are generally walled, with very crowded narrow alleys and pathways. We will be entering through the Blue Gate. The Fez Medina was founded in the 9th century. Our guide informs us that Sunni Muslims build four-sided minaret to represent the 4 pillars of Islam. Shia Muslims build cylindrical minaret. Over 90% of Moroccans are Sunni.
Let's walk slowly, please, and try not to lose me, please.
Madrasa or Medersa is an Islamic theological college. Madrasa Bu Inania in the Fez Medina is renowned for its architecture. Our group moves on towards the children's library. We take in the sights, the smells, and the sounds of a main commercial street in the Medina.
Many traditional houses are no longer as used as houses, like on the right is guest house. Riyadh is a hotel in a traditional house.
After the facade of the university, we carry on towards the Aegean Souk through residential areas. Souks are traditional marketplaces in a maze of narrow streets and alleys. The Aegean Souks has a nice fountain where local people fill water bottles. Next, we are on our way to visit the Chouara Tannery. We climb 3 or 4 stories inside the old building through a narrow staircase. The stench is overpowering, and the guide provides each guest with a small fresh mint bouquet to keep under our noses.
After 2 days, it's easy to separate the wool from the skins. After that, it is all skins inside white pools for 8 up to 10 days. Inside.
There are 3 tanneries in the Fez Medina. They were set up from the very beginning of the Medina over 1200-1300 years ago. Morocco is famous for its leather goods. The technique used to cure and dye the leather are the same as they have been for over 1,000 years. People work right inside the large concrete vats of tanning solutions and dyes. We are on our way to the last souk for the tour. This is where artisans work copper and other metals. The metal dust is palpable. The sun is getting lower, only touching the top of nearby hills as we assemble at the meeting place to return to the hotel for dinner and rest. Today, our excursion will proceed by bus to Rabat, on the coast. Well-groomed fields are all around us in a desert-looking landscape. One can wonder what the sheep can find to eat in some of these dry fields. There are some large cork oak plantations along the road. The cork has been harvested, leaving the red bare tree trunks of the trees ready to grow another skin for another harvest in 9 years. Rabat is known as the administrative capital of Morocco. We will go first to the royal palace in Rabat, then visit the Chellah, a walled area containing Roman ruins, followed by the Mohammed V Mausoleum and the Hassan Mosque and Tower. After lunch at the Hotel Farad Rabat, the tour will make a stop at the gate of the Udaya Garden before returning to Casablanca. At the Royal Palace, we are limited to observe from the large esplanade. Our guide in a dark red robe provides a continuing great commentary during the tour. Storks are plentiful in this area of Morocco. Twirling dervishes appear to be controlling the entrance of the Chellah. The Roman ruins excavated in the 1960s by a French archaeologist appear to have been an artisanal district, with indication of presses, decantation basins, bread-making area. Many stones have been removed over the years for the building of new structures, and only the foundations remain. Storks are using any high perch to build their nests and are very common in this part of Morocco. This bush has really long, fearsome needles. The mausoleum for King Mohammed V is built at one end of the huge Hassan Mosque site. The mosque was built in the 12th century, designed to hold 20,000 people. It was never completed. What had been built, including over 300 columns to support a roof, and parts of wall were destroyed during an earthquake in 1755. The Hassan Tower is the incomplete minaret begun in 1195 and abandoned a year later when the Sultan died. It was to be the largest minaret in the world at 86 meters high. It is only 44 meters. No stairs, but ramps inside to allow the muezzin to ride a horse to the top for his call to prayers. The mausoleum was designed by a Vietnamese architect, and Moroccan kings are buried there. It was started in 1961 following the death of King Mohammed V and completed in 1971. We have lunch in a glassed-in dining room at the top of Hotel Farah, with a great view of the Bourg Regret River. After lunch, the bus takes us to the gate of the Udaya Gardens for a panoramic view of the ocean. On the way, some men are working with their large and colorful radio-controlled cars. A case of the bigger the boy, the bigger the toy. Back in Casablanca, we will drive to the King HassanII Mosque. On the way, we go by Rick's Cafe, made famous in the 1942 movie Casablanca. Interestingly, no movie was actually shot in Casablanca or anywhere near Rick's Cafe. After all, it was wartime. The mosque was commissioned by King Hassan II. It was started in 1986 and completed in 7 years. It can hold 25,000 worshippers indoors and 80,000 on its grounds. It is the second largest mosque in Africa and the 7th largest in the world. The minaret is 210 meters tall.
وسيدي لك الكران كريم لك الكران كريم لك الشران شريم